Justin and Alexis.
Yeah.
Until the couple thing.
Until the couple thing.
We're going to put all that together. We're going to talk about the couple stuff separate.
Let's put it all together.
Okay. All right. So, okay, interesting to me. I didn't think they did this, but them two.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. Did he do it? Anyway,
he did
we opened with Justin and Alexis smoking the hookah.
He was puffing.
Was he smoking the hookah?
Puff passed. She was doing more smoking than he was from what we saw. But again, they were both smoking the hookah.
And they have this is at the point where they've all received their little love questions, the experts trying to get them to talk about love and be more vulnerable and stuff like that. And so, you know, she asked him, have you ever been in love before? You know, and then she talks to him, do you think you could fall out of love? But anyway, he said he thought he was in love before, but now he thinks he wasn't. It's his one of his first girlfriend. He lost his virginity to. And oh, he was 20. She was like, oh, you a late bloomer. Leave that man alone. That's
why he can be celibate now. Let me stop. I'm just messing with
Leave that man alone. But he said it was just about the benefits. So he was like, you know, she dogged him. And he was a yes man. It was like, whatever kind of tea you like, whatever kind of food you like, whatever kind of, you know what I'm saying?
But he's still a yes man. In essence. What was weird to me about that, when she asked, have you ever been in love? I'm expecting him to say that it was the fiance. Now, unless the fiance is the first girlfriend, the first person he lost his virginity to.
That's possible.
I don't think so, though. But I don't think so. I'm trying to correlate this. So you wasn't in love with the woman that left you at the altar?
This sounds like the same person.
It sounds like the same. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out the same person. So he was in this long relationship. Maybe it's not the same person. I don't know.
But yeah, that's the example he gave, and you know, he felt like if I pleased them, you know, that everything would be all good, and they would love him back. And so she says, okay, so let me ask you a personal question. You know, when you were receiving love from your family members, was it one-sided? And he was like, well, yeah, on my dad's side, because we know his dad wasn't around. His brother raised him with his mom. And he said, my dad was in and out of my life, and I felt like if I did something, that he would love me back.
Yeah. And I got a lot of young men like that. You know, dads are out there, and you try to be a great athlete because you want dad to come to the games, or you try to be a great student, and you're a great husband, and you want that fatherly love and a fatherly support. And young boys do long for that, man. They do want an attachment to their fathers. And dad's not there. So you do you start doing all the things right and thinking that that's going to bring them back to love you.
Mm-hmm. She asked again, do you think it's possible to fall out of love? He said, yeah, I think it's possible. And
set up because she fell out of love with him. That was a set up question.
Because they're having this conversation, and she talks about how uncomfortable she is talking about it, and you know, he was like, can you say how much you love me? It's uncomfortable for me to say that. And how do you know you're in love? He said, well, she said, for me, her issue with saying it is that, you know, it's the inconsistency that I get from you, the vagueness, you know. She talks about the candy store, how I felt lonely in the candy store, how you acted. I feel a lack of security. And
I thought that was, I mean, I understand how she felt lonely in the candy store, but you had been gone home for 2 days. I felt lonely when you went home. I felt lonely when you left 2 days and you didn't take your dog, and you left and I still watched your dog for 2 days. I felt lonely because you haven't been talking. So again, I understand it's about her feelings, and this is her time to speak and her time to share, but I didn't see Justin should have came with a rebuttal or say, like, you know what, I understand that you felt lonely, but I felt lonely too because you left me out in the dark. You know, you left me out there. And so, I mean, I understand what she's feeling and I understand where she's coming from, but she's making it about her and not about them. And that's where I was like, okay.
Well, I didn't even say that. She's definitely not over communicating, and I'm gonna say to us,
right?
Like, we know that she wasn't there from the after party, but in this, it's like, oh, it's making it like he left me. Yeah. And she's leaving out the fact that I wasn't even there.
I wasn't even there. And
we hadn't seen each other in days.
We was in separate cars. We was in separate everything. And I just showed up before he did. And I wasn't for sure he was coming. So that's what she's making it look like.
But Justin said he is aware that he has to gain back her trust, build up that security, and he's working towards that. We see them go on a romantic date. They have a picnic on the rocky Sure.
Yeah.
But when they get together, whatever, and they have some more questions for each other. She asked him, how did you picture yourself as a husband before this process? And he was like, I pictured a husband being a great listener, being supportive of her, and and she's like, is that it? I felt kind of like, oof. I mean, if that's how he feels, that's how he feels. But her point is, what's the difference? So what makes the difference in that being a partner and being married?
Right.
And he was like, the difference is you could be a good listener and supportive as a partner, but if you feel like it, you be like, peace, you can bounce.
I'm gone.
So he said, to me, it's all that and the fact that I'm married, there's a commitment there, and I can't just leave at the drop of a hat because things don't go the way I expected to.
Other words, translation, I can't be you and be a runner.
And I can't run. Yeah.
I can't run like you do.
Yeah, and they get into that. He was like, "There's no easy way out. There's consequences.
Yeah.
It's a process if you want to get out of marriage. It's better work on it." She asked him at this point. So, at the point where we are in the marriage, if we were just dating, would you still want to date me? And he was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Because he said even outside of marriage, again, his thing was, we can work through things. That's the thing. And so he asked her the same question. How about you? Because I know you're a runner. She was like, yeah, I'm a track star.
Mm-hmm.
And she said if they were dating, she would not stay around.
She'd be gone.
If they were in the point where they are now, she said that when Newton got attacked.
I knew it was coming. It was coming.
The thing with Newton getting attacked and him throwing up blood and pooping blood and you not telling me, that got to me. And, if I wouldn't have allowed the lie, what she deemed a lie, mm-hmm. which is half truth or being vague, she said, I wouldn't allow that if we were dating. And that's probably why I haven't been married before or actually accept the engagement in her case, because she's been proposed to but not accepted.
She's unforgiving. And I call that unforgiving because if you're in a relationship and a person make one mistake, and he made one mistake, and it wasn't a mistake towards her. He didn't beat her, he didn't cuss her, he didn't do anything to her. It was to the animal.
But it was to her attachment.
To the animal.
Yeah, to her attachment.
To the animal. And she takes that as him not caring for her. And I understand that he couldn't control the dog being attacked. He could control the over communication, right? Mm. But he didn't. And and as like Pastor Cal said, sometimes you gotta let things go. They're not perfect. We're not perfect in marriage. You're gonna make mistakes. So at every mistake you're ready to leave, mm-hmm. you shouldn't be married. You shouldn't be in this committed relationship. Because again, the vows you took for richer or poor, to sickness and health, mm-hmm. to death do us part, to my dog being attacked, to you being vague. Mm-hmm. Let's stay together or work it out. Mm-hmm. And she ready. If it wasn't for those, I look at it differently. If it wasn't for these checks and she said she married, she gone.
Well, yeah, but she said that. She said, I find myself, I am putting in more of an effort now because we're married. And, she says again, the fact that she's a runner or whatever. And he was like, basically like, I don't understand that, And she was like, or I think he said it like, I understand. She was like, no, but you don't though, mm-hmm. because you're not a runner. And so I don't need you to understand, like, put yourself in my shoes. I need you to understand that this is my lot in life. This, like, understand that this is just me. That's my truth. Understand it like that. Yeah. Because you won't understand because that's not in your. You're not a runner. You're a stick in there. I'm not. Other people that are runners understand. But so real quick, let's go to when all the couples get together and they have a conversation
with Dr. Pia.
With Dr. Pia, yeah.
Dr. Pia.
And so she's there to help them, with their emotions and talk to them about that. And she's a couple and sex therapist, and help them with their emotions and being vulnerable. So she gives them that emotion wheel and like, where are you sitting in this place? And so Justin was like, I've been hurt before. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm bulletproof. I've developed tough skin when it comes to being hurt, and I'm not cold, but I can become cold. And, he says, I'm not bringing my past traumas into it. And Dr. Pia's like, and Alexis is like, a bobblehead about to like, nah,
no,
you are tough. Though.
You tough. You cry at the drop of a dime.
But just because you cry, because I'm a crybaby.
Oh, you are?
Don't be smart. I'm a crybaby. Just because you're a crybaby doesn't mean you're not tough. Because sometimes those tears are not always softness. Sometimes it's frustration. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's confusion.
In this situation where he talks and where he look, it looks like to me it doesn't. It's more emotional. It doesn't seem like it's frustration. It's
but those are emotions too, and that's what she's talking to him about. Right. It's like, okay, with this anger, what else goes with that? That's how they started. So, you know, sometimes it's just anger, but what's underneath the anger? And Alexis so smart. She was like, oh yeah, that's the primary emotion. We talk about secondary emotions, which Dr. P was like, okay, yeah, that's what we're talking about. So what and what I thought about is they did this with Lindsay. Mm-hmm. Dr. Pepper did. It's like, okay, you lash out, but what's really attached to that lashing out?
Right. And but with his emotion is the fact that he's a people pleaser and he hurts somebody's feelings, mm-hmm. and that he doesn't allow. He messed up and he feels like my one mess up is going to destroy our relationship. My one mess up is not going to have this perfect life that I want. This one mess up is what's going to mess everything up. And so he gets emotional.
But what he told Dr. Pia is what it boils down to. And if you go back some more, which he didn't really say this, it goes again to his father.
Yeah.
So, he said, I've been hurt before, not trying to be hurt again. But then he says, but I'm not afraid of being hurt. Right. He was like, because I've been there. And it doesn't keep me from being vulnerable. And they were kind of like, well, yeah, it kind of does. But he was like, no, in my case, it doesn't keep me from being vulnerable because he's realized that, and some people have, it's like, when you're vulnerable, there's a chance that you could get hurt or not. Mm-hmm. I think he's bracing aware of either outcome. A lot of times when people go into things, they're not prepared for either outcome. They're prepared for it to either go really wrong, mm-hmm. or to go really bad. Not that they could do either or. So how am I going to act if it goes good? How am I going to act if it doesn't? And Dr. P is like, do you believe him when he says the trauma, being hurt, doesn't keep him from being vulnerable? And she was like, no. And Justin was like, but she don't know me that well. And Alexis was like,
oh, wow.
Oh, okay. And she was like, look, remember we had that conversation about you being emotional and you just say things? I feel like this one of those moments. He was like, it's not though. And she was like, so now you want to tell me what I think? I beg to differ.
At that moment, I was like, dog, shut up.
Yeah.
Bro, when somebody said this is what I think, you be quiet, because guess what? You're not in their thoughts. Whether they're right, wrong, and indifferent. You be like, okay.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
She was like, you can't speak for me. He's like, well, I feel like my words are getting confused and being misunderstood. This is frustrating, and this is why I shut down. And she says, but I want to understand, though. It's not about being right or wrong, it's just to understand. Mm-hmm. And shutting down doesn't help us at all. Dr. P was like, yeah, sometimes you got to keep talking until the person understands to you, till it's clear to them. Because sometimes, like Justin said, I do have a hard time relaying what I'm actually trying to say or what I'm feeling. So
we can see that.
Talk about it until there's an understanding. But
I think some of the issues is people have a mindset they want people to say it a certain way. When you say it a certain, and it comes in their mind, I do it. So because it's been in my mind, and what comes in my mind really don't come out of here. And so you understand it that way, and you say it that way, but then the person that interpreting it don't get what you're saying, because you left a word out, or you said it in a different way, or they in some type of way, or they think their feelings, or whatever the case may be, and they feel it that way. And I understand what Alexis is coming from. The way he says it sometimes is like, I don't get it, I don't understand it, so I need you to break it down so I can understand. What are you talking about? Even if you bring up past stuff, give me a precursor to what you're saying. Mm-hmm. So.